Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Strife's Sanctum podcast. My name is Citizen Strife, and this week I get to talk, yet again, about Konosuba. Because last year I talked about the Konosuba Megumin spin-off, the explosion in this wonderful world. And I'd already talked about other stuff that went on. I want to say I talked about the movie, but this is a direct continuation of that. But we're going to be talking about Season 3, which was last season. And I said in the earlier episode about the Megumin spinoff that there were good things about it, but it just didn't feel right. And I kind of figured, or at least hoped, that the allure of the show would get back to where it was. The strength of the show would be getting the characters as a group back together doing their thing. And I was proven right. As popular as Megumin is, she can't carry her own show. She's not a character designed to be an every woman or every man or something. You need, especially in a comedy, you need that comedic timing and that chemistry with characters, and Megumin and Union just don't carry an entire show. So it was a nice little experiment, but I don't think I ever want to see another spin-off again. I mean, maybe with Darkness or Aqua, but again, I don't know if they're ever going to do that again. I just don't think it was a success. Because when you get to Season 3, you get back to what the show was about. These four idiots doing stupid things. Provided they've tried to add a little bit more character growth and whatnot in there, but by and large, it's them doing stupid shit. And most of it has to do with Kazuma as a character. He just is a revelation. Having missed him for 12 episodes, having him back is great, because he's the engine that gets it running. But you also do need the different characters. What I will say about the character dynamics now is that I really do think, whether it was a design choice because they were focusing on a different story arc, or because like Megumin has become like the de facto main female lead by proxy of her popularity, Aqua doesn't really get a lot to do anymore, and which kind of sucks because she can add her own flavor to things, mostly as a pest sometimes, but it's when she's not doing that, she's kind of left in the background to be a one-note joke and be, I mean, even by this show's standards, comic relief filler. And that's really what she's left to be. She's just a partier. She drinks, she eats food. She doesn't really engage with the plot much. You don't really get much out of Aqua, so if you're a fan of Aqua, this is not the season for you, because this is a focus on Darkness, which I kind of appreciate. Since we spent so much time with Megumin, I'm kind of glad we shifted focus to a different storyline, because there's two concurrent storylines going on in this setup. Kazuma finds this divine treasure thing, and learns, because of shenanigans, because he keeps dying, that they're super high-powered crazy shit. But he gets taken to the royal capital, and the first few episodes are just him hanging out with a princess and becoming a big brother of sorts. And, you know, finally kind of feeling like he belongs in a way, because he's just adventurer dude. You know, even with his party, he's just kind of like, I'm the adventurer guy. My life sucks. I want to do something important. And then he finds out that, hey, he actually has been doing important things, but he can't really escape his neat nature. And, oh my God, this is fun. And I'm with girls all the time. And like, he's still his perverted, dumb self. And then he happens upon this treasure. And the other goddess, Eris, who shows up every couple of times because they need an excuse to show Kazuma dies, she tells him about these things that have superpowers in them. And one of them is the ability to mess around with swapping bodies. And he learns this, and he learns that that's an item in question because he activates it and becomes the princess himself. To stupid effect. Let's be honest. Let's face it. When Kazuma gets power, he uses it for dumb things. Because I'm Kazuma. But, yeah. Shit goes south, but then things keep going, and, you know, he gets kicked out of Iris's castle after a while, despite finding his place there, because other things happen, and they gotta return back to home to sort of protect the village, but really just to do other stupid shit. Namely, get to the second part of the plot, which focuses on darkness, because there's an undercurrent of darkness, like, trying to save Kazuma from weird shenanigans. There's a lot more focus on her, and it doesn't come into play until about 6 or 7 episodes in, once Iris is out of the picture for now. Darkness leaves the group for undisclosed reasons, and they find out that it's a family-related issue, and she's going to sell herself off to pay for some of the damages they caused that they had to pay for. They don't have money for it, so Darkness uses her family connection and says, I will use myself as collateral to this random-ass noble and will marry myself off. The party goes in different directions of trying to figure out how to solve it, and really, the best scene of the entire season, if you're going to watch anything, I mean, the Iris stuff is good. The little thievery shenanigans in the middle are fine, but really, like, there's like one scene in this entire season that stands above all else, and it's good that they even have that sometimes, because as good as the show is, sometimes you're like waiting for, like, where's the really, really good shit? So Kazuma is going to try and find Darkness and try to figure out what the hell her problem is. In doing that, he finds his way into their mansion and will try and speak with her. To do that, he utilizes some weird party trick spell that Aqua taught him to change his voice and mimic his voice. And he mimics Darkness's voice and, you know, and the guards, and he works his way into Darkness's room by being one of the guards. Corners her, hides from the guards, and that's the best part. I don't want to give it away, but let's just say, find the episode where Kazuma runs into Darkness in her house, and it's great. The other stuff ends up happening, and they meet her dad, who is suffering from illnesses for whatever reason, also related to this noble in question, who's a complete tit, by the way. The solution to the problem is pure Konosuba, in a way, and everything kind of resolves in a good way of, it's nothing that changes the characters, because this show is still meant to be fluff comedy. The stakes involved as characters have progressed, and like Megumin falling for Kazuma is still kind of the direction they're leaning, but they were smart enough to get away from Megumin for a little bit and focus on Darkness in her storyline, because that's good. I do think, like, Aqua will need something later rather than just being the goofy god lady, because there's only so much you can do with that before she just doesn't have any reason to be there anymore, other than to be a sounding board for stupid shit. So it's one of the situations where they have definitely rebounded back to where they were because they had no choice. That Megumin spinoff was lacking the spark, and they finally found it again. Now, I don't read manga personally, so I don't read ahead. I don't listen to what, you know, I don't like being spoiled on things that's coming ahead. Spoilers suck. But, you know, that's why I've tried to be kind of vague on the storyline here, because even if it's like non-sequential stupid shit, the season still provides enough of a reason to exist, because you're getting to know these characters and things are finally starting to work their way into, okay, they're not just stupid idiots anymore. They're stupid people with a power set that works, with a camaraderie that works, that has been building over 3 seasons and a movie, and sort of a prequel, I guess. But the more that they're around each other, the more the show works. And the show works because these 4 people are different flavors of stupid. And it's enjoyable. That is what makes this show work. And they've hit on a formula that hasn't slowed down yet, unless they do another spin-off. So I'm curious to see what the next set, in a year or 2 is going to be, because there's no reason to think the show can't keep going for a while. They're going to run out of ideas at some point, but it's not going to be anytime soon. But would I recommend Konosuba Season 3? I mean, yeah, of course I would. There are definitely things that they can still improve on to balance out characters, but because they've been focusing on a couple of specific ones in different instances, I'm not going to hold that too much against them. It was just getting Kazuma back really changed the dynamic of the show back to where it used to be, which is kind of what I asked them to do. And I'm grateful that it was as good as I was expecting. Will it get old? I mean, every concept gets old after a while, so there's going to be a shelf life, I'm sure, but I'm not expecting this to be a 15-year, 20-year, 30-year prospect. Eventually, Konosuba is going to end, and hopefully on a high note. But for now, there's no reason to think they can't. But that'll do it for today. It was a nice shorter one because, again, I've talked about Konosuba in a couple of different episodes. If you want to go back and watch those first, feel free. But as far as the schedule going forward, I've got it into November, actually. Because, let's see, Konosuba is the start of September. Okay, so Legaia 2, Lee and I have recorded that episode, so that'll be in September. We've got Odd Taxi, Metal Gear Solid 3, the favorite anime openings and endings, which I have listed and ranked already, which was nice. So I've got that. October 12th is Xenosaga 2, with a little flavor from Xenosaga 3, because I just finished watching that again. This year's Halloween-esque thing will be Sankarea, so a zombie apocalypse sort of thing with a zombie girlfriend sort of situation. Which is funny because I've been watching Le Cabaneri and Zom 100, so I'm full bore on zombie shit for a while. So talking about Sankarea should be interesting. Final Fantasy glitches and translation errors. I've got a big wiki and a giant list of things from my own experience that, things that I did know, things I didn't know about Final Fantasy. I've even talked with people on Reddit about their own experiences, what I should be looking for, a little bit here and there. So I'm working my way through it. That's going to be a couple months from now. And as far as the next anime after that, I'm thinking Gunslinger Girl. Gunslinger Girl was really freaking good, at least for one main season. The second season, maybe not as much, but it's one of my favorite shows, and I want to talk about that sooner rather than later, having rewatched it recently. So again, I'm full bore for a couple of months. I'm always got stuff to talk about. But that'll do for today's episode. A nice short one for a change. And I'll see you guys next episode. Citizen Strife, signing off.